वही बड़ा खाने का मन है।
वाह क्या स्वाद!
असली स्वाद तो MDH दही वड़ा रायता मसाले से ही आता है। MDH।
Hello and welcome. You're watching the Friday edition of This Is Exclusive. What is common between Jaish-e-Mohammed, Lashkar-e-Taiba and the Hamas? They are all united by terror. And ladies and gentlemen, they have been plotting against India. Tonight on this edition of This Is Exclusive, I'll take you through the details of how they have been plotting. And what's the eerie similarity between October 7th and the attack that took place at Pahalgam? These details that are now emerging from the investigation that has been carried out has become a huge cause of concern. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take you through all the details coming up on This Is Exclusive. But first, let's take you through the headlines we're tracking at this hour. It's a Republic super exclusive. Details of secret terror huddles in Pakistan weeks before Pahalgam massacre. ISI brings Hamas leaders to Dhaka. Conspiracies to target and attack India's northeast uncovered. Indian Army goes all out to dismantle the terror framework in Jammu and Kashmir. Advanced weapons deployed to track and bust terror hideouts. Pakistan admits to sponsoring terror organizations. Pakistan minister says they have been doing dirty work for United States of America for over 3 decades. Starting this edition with some breaking news coming in. We have now got details of the decision that has been taken regarding the Indus Water Treaty and how it will be implemented. The implementation, we are being told, will take place in 3 phases. Arrangements will be made to ensure that not a single drop of water flows to Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, for all those who have essentially criticized the government, saying that this was a weak decision taken by the government as far as the Indus Water Treaty is concerned. Despite the multiple wars between both these countries, Indus Water Treaty was something that was never touched by India. But this time, after the massacre that we saw in Pahalgam, a bold decision was taken by the Modi government, and that decision was to put the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance, which essentially means that the water that was being supplied will not be supplied to Pakistan. In fact, details now emerging from what India basically plans to do and how exactly will this be implemented in the 3 stages, and whether at all there would be any sort of arbitration. Because remember, this matter was taken up before the International Court by Pakistan. In fact, this was the major bone of contention that Pakistan had with India with regards to the Indus Water Treaty. Let me go across to my colleague Soumya, who's getting us inside details of how India basically plans to stop from water flowing into Pakistan. The Indus Water Treaty has been put in abeyance. What does it mean, Soumya? What is it that the government is essentially planning to do?
Well, these outcomes have come right after a meeting that stayed for 1.5 hours at the official residence of Home Minister Amit Shah, and in attendance was the Jal Shakti Minister C.R. Patil along with senior officials from the ministry. Now, the decision has been taken that not a single drop of water will flow towards Pakistan, and that will be done in 3 phases. The immediate term, then there is mid-term, and then there is long-term. Now, as we speak, it has been decided the immediate term will begin from today itself. And with that regard, they are planning to go ahead with the modern technologies will be used so that the canals, the dams, their sizes can be increased. One of the most important dams here is the Krishna Ganga Dam. That is the last point for India as far as the Indus waters are concerned, the distributaries, the rivers are concerned. So that is the last point for India. So the expansion of Krishna Ganga Dam is the most important one here. With that, all the already existing dams and canals were not in function as of now. They will be repaired, and there will be a plan in place for their expansion as well. So this is how the ministry is planning as to how they're going to go ahead with the suspension of the Indus Water Treaty. Back to you.
Well, Soumya, I'll take our viewers through some of the details that we are picking up from our sources in the government, as multiple meetings actually took place after the announcement, the formal announcement that was made by the Foreign Secretary with regards to the Indus Water Treaty. Ladies and gentlemen, it's important to point out that this was one such a treaty that wasn't touched by India despite the multiple wars that we have fought with Pakistan. In fact, this was seen as untouchable. But having said that, Modi government has taken the bold decision of ensuring that not a drop of water basically flows to Pakistan. In fact, the Prime Minister had mentioned earlier, blood and water cannot go hand in hand. In fact, let me just take you through some of the details that my colleague Soumya is getting us. Number one, water flowing to Pakistan will be completely stopped. Pakistan, in fact, perhaps would see the impact of the decision in the next few weeks itself. The capacity of the dams will be further increased, which would mean that there is a restriction of water that is going to be supplied. This capacity will be enhanced using modern technology so that more water can be stored, and silt will essentially be removed from the dams for this purpose. Now, what's also important to point out here, that the World Bank basically plays an important role. In fact, the World Bank had already put out a statement saying that India hasn't informed them as yet. Now, government sources indicated, because this treaty was brokered by World Bank, and they will be informed about the decision that has been taken. As far as the arbitration goes, that remains annulled at this point in time on this entire issue. Let me just get a quick word from my colleague Soumya for the last word on what's really happening, how much time will it take? Because Soumya, here the government sources are basically indicating that it is going to take some time before Pakistan really gets a feel or impact of this particular decision. Is there some sort of a timeline of what exactly are they really indicating, that it's going to take some time before Pakistan basically feels the impact of this decision? Help our viewers understand, how does this really work?
Well, see, it has been clearly mentioned by the statements that have come out from the Jal Shakti Ministry right after the meeting that was happening here at the official residence of Home Minister Amit Shah, that this will be taking in place in 3 phases. There is the immediate phase, then there is mid-term, and then there is long-term. So, of course, here we are talking about the distributaries, the 6 distributaries, and the western rivers have been allocated to Pakistan. So, completely stopping the flow of these rivers towards Pakistan will take some time, because a lot of factors have to be taken in consideration with regards to the building of the canals and the dams and the expansion of their size as well. And of course, there has to be decision taking, there has to be a consideration about how, once they will be changing the flow of these rivers, how they will be changing the flow of their rivers and which way it will be directed towards. Now, at the moment, we are picking up that it will be towards Punjab, Himachal and Kashmir. So it will take some time. So this is how it is going to pan out. Back to you.
Well, thank you very much, Soumya, for getting us the latest details. Pakistan will feel the impact of this major decision that has been taken by India. Details now emerging that the government has decided not a single drop of water would be given to Pakistan. Moving on to the other big story that we're getting to you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. They are all united, and they are all united by terror. We're talking about Lashkar-e-Taiba Jaish-e-Mohammed, as well as Hamas. What has essentially happened is that since 7th of October, when the incident actually took place in Israel, Thereafter, Hamas leadership has had multiple meetings. Lo and behold, those meetings actually took place in Pakistan. And in fact, they were welcomed. A red carpet welcome was given to the Hamas leadership in Pakistan. This happened immediately thereafter. On your screens right now, one of the many meetings that have actually taken place is on February 2025. Before this is the video that the secret meeting that took place between Hamas as well as the Jaish-e-Mohammed. And it happened at Bahawalpur, which happens to be the headquarters of Jaish-e-Mohammed. What you see on your screens. I'll just be silent for a minute so that you can take a look at the red carpet welcome that was given by Jaish-e-Mohammed to the Hamas leadership when they entered the Jaish-e-Mohammed headquarters. In fact, 9 cars had actually accompanied the Hamas leadership. Now, Republic has basically uncovered the exclusive intelligence pointing to Lashkar-e-Taiba Jaish-e-Mohammed joint terror plot that was orchestrated with Hamas operatives on the Pakistani soil. Now, in February 2025, this is the image that you see on your screens. A meeting took place, and this was in Rawalkot, Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, coinciding with the Kashmir Solidarity Day, where top Hamas leader Khalid Kadumi, is also the spokesperson of the Hamas, met with Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed commanders to discuss a unified strategy. Now, just want to point this out. I just want to stay with this picture because there's more additional information that is coming in, and perhaps we could also break this. And the information is this, that along with the Hamas leadership, you've also had the Pakistan Prime Minister as well as the Pakistan Army Chief participating in the Kashmir Solidarity Day, the rally that they had come up with, because this, again, happens to be the biggest delusion that Pakistan has, that at some point in time, Kashmir may become part of Pakistan. That's the delusion that they've been living in, and this is remembering that delusion, February 2025, then when they called up for this meeting. Now, cut to August 2024. Now, this meeting that took place was in Qatar. And in Qatar, the Lashkar commander Saifullah Kasuri actually met with the Hamas leadership. Now, apart from receiving full red carpet welcome in Pakistan, there were several smaller meetings that were actually taking place. One such meeting happened in Qatar. What was this meeting between Hamas and Lashkar-e-Taiba? And how did this happen? What was exactly brewing? Now, intelligence agency sources basically indicating that there's something more than what meets the eye. I'm going to take you through the entire series of meetings that have taken place that will give you the big picture that emerges of the secret alliance between Jaish-e-Mohammed, Lashkar-e-Taiba and the Hamas leadership. First, beginning with February 2025 in Rawalkot in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, a secret terror huddle on Kashmir Solidarity Day. Now, Kashmir Solidarity Day is the day when they addressed their cadre, and they were hoping that with the Hamas leadership basically coming in, this would basically renew their entire purpose. Next, Hamas leaders met Lashkar-e-Taiba as well as Jaish-e-Mohammed commanders. Important to point out, you've had the top commanders of Jaish-e-Mohammed participating in this rally along with the Hamas leaders. Key Hamas figure happens to be Khalid Kadumi. Khalid Kadumi is also the spokesperson of the Hamas, and he was also seen as the right-hand man of Ismail Hanafi. Meeting that coincided with the pro-Kashmir rally because the idea was to basically energize their cadres, especially keeping in mind they had completely failed in carrying out any attacks in Kashmir. And that is the reason why this was required. A joint strategy discussion has actually happened. Now, there are the reports that are basically emerging is that training was also imparted to Jaish-e-Mohammed as well as Lashkar-e-Taiba at the very launch pads. Now, what's important to point out, this is the most significant information really coming in. April 2025, in fact, to be specific, on 18th of April, this meeting takes place in a place called Dirawar in Pakistan, and 4 days before the Pahalgam attack, a deadly plan brews. Now, what we do not know at this point in time, that as to what was exactly executed, how it was executed, whether at all some training was actually given, because one of the Pakistani terrorists who actually already had infiltrated almost a year ago, participated in the Pahalgam attack, was also present. In fact, the training was given to him in Pakistan itself. Hamas meets Jaish-e-Mohammed commanders at Bahawalpur base. Now, Bahawalpur happens to be the headquarters of Jaish-e-Mohammed. And that's where this meeting has actually taken place. Let's move on. High-level terror meet that is held in just broad daylight in Pakistan. Nothing absurd, because for them it is the normal. Let's move on. Hamas convoy, 3 lead vehicles, 9 escorts, all of them happens to be bulletproof. Republic was the only channel to show you that entire convoy basically going into Bahawalpur. They were received like a VIP-style reception was completely given to them. In fact, their entire leadership, Hamas leadership, whatever remaining Hamas leadership, some of them who were released by Israel, they were in prison in Israel, they were released, and after being released, remember, they were seen in Pakistan. Now, core agenda, replicate 7th of October attack in India, because intelligence agencies now indicating that the plan was to carry out a similar attack. Now, that is also officially now confirmed by the Israelis too. They say that they have information that Lashkar-e-Taiba Jaish-e-Mohammed and the Hamas leadership met with an ultimate aim to destabilize the situation, particularly in Kashmir. In fact, my colleague Soumya spoke to the Israeli ambassador to India, and he's confirmed that they have information that such a meeting has actually happened. So this is those speculation. There are images that we have just showed you. We are the only network to have been following this entire lead that we have got on this entire thing. And we are only talking about the Western Front. It does not end with the Western Front. There's the Eastern Front that we're going to take in a short while from now. But first, let's take you through the Israeli ambassador. Israeli ambassador interestingly makes this point, that specific information that some of the Hamas leadership, at least few of them who were in Israeli prison, they were released, and after being released, part of the deal that was actually happening in Qatar, they were released and they were then spotted in Pakistan. Listen to what the Israeli ambassador had to say.
Ever since the ghastly terror attack there in Pahalgam, there are lots of parallels that are being drawn as to what happened there in Pahalgam and then what happened on October 7th when Hamas terrorists attacked in Israel. What do you have to say about that? How do you see that?
Well, it's very easy to see the lines that are very similar because the terrorists are copycatting and they are inspiring each other, unfortunately. We've seen Hamas leaders being invited to areas, to Lashkar-e-Taiba events, etc. And this is completely unacceptable. We know that. We know that they have the same goal, but we have the same goal as well. We are going to fight as civilized societies to get rid of these terrorists.
We just told you about the Western Front conspiracy. Now let's take you through the link between ISI, Hamas, and what were they doing in Dhaka. Now, as per intelligence agencies, on 7th of October 2024, a secretive meeting in Dhaka exposed a deepening ISI-Hamas nexus that was aimed at destabilizing India's northeast. Intelligence sources basically confirming that Pakistan's ISI in fact facilitated the entry of senior Hamas leaders into Bangladesh for a strategy session that was hosted by Al-Markazul Islami. They are a radical group with known Al-Qaeda affiliations, and the event was attended by prominent Islamist figures from Pakistan and was reportedly orchestrated by Mufti Shahidul Islam, a notorious cleric linked to the 1999 Khulna mosque bombings and trained in explosives by the Al-Qaeda across Afghanistan, Pakistan, as well as South Africa. The agenda was to inspire coordinated terror strikes in northeast India, leveraging regional Islamist networks under ISI's shadowy patronage. Now, I'm going to take you through the details of it. I'll also put you the picture of this man, this terrorist, the meeting actually took place. And now, to put this into perspective, now do you realize why Mohammed Yunus was making this statement about the chicken's neck? Because that's what they are basically eyeing at. Now, this meeting that has taken place, the secretive meeting that has taken place is on 7th of October 2024, when the ISI actually brought in Hamas leaders to Dhaka. Hamas leaders were flown in. They were taken to Dhaka. A secretive meeting actually took place. There were several people who were part of this meeting. ISI Hamas hatched plots to inspire attacks in northeast India. And a significant statement has been made by Mohammed Yunus as far as the northeast is concerned. This while he was in China. The statement that was made by Mohammed Yunus. This event was actually organized by Al-Markazul Islami. That's a group that has been linked to Al-Qaeda. Important to point out that the training also has taken place. The training has taken place in Afghanistan. Let's take you through the other details. Mufti Shahidul Islam, directly linked to Al-Qaeda. That's the man on your screens. That's Mufti Shahidul Islam, who's been linked to Al-Qaeda. He's part of it. Now, important to point out that Islam had orchestrated the 1990 Kulna mosque bombings. And remember, India, when Sheikh Hasina was in power, had raised this entire matter. The group was also banned by Sheikh Hasina. What happens after Mohammed Yunus comes to power? Complete free run has been given. Islam trained in explosives with Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in Africa. That's where the training has actually taken place, these three countries. 7th of October event attended by senior Hamas leaders. In a short while from the senior editor from our sister channel Republic Bangla, Moyuk, is going to join us. He's going to tell us who are the people who were present. Prominent Islamist figures from Pakistan also attended this entire meeting. Let me go across to my colleague Moyuk, our senior editor from Republic Bangla, getting us the exclusive details. Moyuk, we are the only network over the last 24 hours have been talking about this Hamas link that has emerged. I got the details with regards to Pakistan. Now you are getting us details that it is not limited to Pakistan. They're not united by terror just in Pakistan, but also in Bangladesh. What are the details? Who are the people who were present in that meeting? Do we have more details about the Hamas leadership also?
Well, Shravan, it's actually divided by borders, united by terrorism. It's not only about Pakistan or Palestine. This has clear patronage from Bangladesh also. And Mohammed Yunus must watch this coverage of Shravan right now on his screen in Dhaka. Clearly, Bangladesh is becoming a place where terrorism, specifically backed by Hamas, can be harbored. What we are getting in from our sources, key members from Lashkar-e-Taiba, banned organizations which have now been held scot-free by Mohammed Yunus, organization and its members, key members from banned organizations, earlier erstwhile banned organizations in Bangladesh, Lashkar-e-Taiba key handlers and Hamas leaders. They attended a secretive meeting in a place called Chapai Nawabganj and also in certain places of Muhammad Bazar. These are the place in Bangladesh where we have earlier reported of holding training camps specifically by Lashkar-e-Taiba, by Al-Qaeda and ISIS. So after ISIS and Lashkar-e-Taiba, now Hamas is specifically targeting Bangladesh for a safe haven there. If Bangladesh becomes a safe haven for Hamas terrorists, for Hamas handlers, and if Hamas starts giving shelter to Pak terrorists also, then it's time for Mohammed Yunus to understand the fact that India cannot sit quiet, because we have a very important border with Bangladesh. We have seven sisters, we have Bengal on our side, and Bangladesh, unfenced Bangladesh bordering sides on the other side. So this Bangladesh government must take seriously and stop harboring terrorists, specifically from Hamas.
Well, Mohammed Yunus must listen to this, that they may be united by terror. The man who's been talking about peace all this while has been completely exposed. Thank you very much, Mayuk, for getting us the latest details, the eastern as well as the western front. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to now take you through frame by frame images of what really happened on 7th of October and what just happened recently in Pahalgam. And you'll be completely shocked. There's an eerie similarity between what happened in Israel and what happened in Kashmir just about a few days ago. Let's take you through the first image. This image will actually tell you that is the same location. So on 7th of October 2023, Hamas terrorists targeted crowds at a concert near Ashkelon. Look here. You've had young people running helter-skelter when Hamas terrorists indiscriminately started firing, targeting them. Lashkar terrorists, in fact, did the same. They eyed Baisaran Meadow during the peak tourist season. The numbers could be roughly about 6,000 to 10,000 tourists who actually go to this meadow. This is a picturesque place. In fact, it's also known as mini Switzerland. And this is a remote area. This area was wrecked by the terrorists, similar to what happened on 7th of October 2023. In Ashkelon, far away, it's an open area, and they opened fire. Lashkar terrorists did the same. Can we just contrast both the images now? On your screens, just take a look at this. The choice of remote location, that's number one eerie similarity between 7th of October and 22nd of April. Both, look at the way this location was actually chosen so that the security forces do not reach on time. They take some time. That's exactly what happened with the Israelis too, because they took some good amount of time to actually reach this very spot where there was indiscriminate firing that took place. And the same thing happened here in Pahalgam, where the security forces took much longer to reach. There wasn't any police personnel. Let's now go to the second. Identification and targeted killing. Now, if you remember this image that came in on the very day when the attack took place, all of us wondered, how brutal can these terrorists be? On 22nd of April, the same thing. Lashkar terrorists actually identified, they singled out, and they shot Hindus the way the Hamas terrorists were targeting the Jews. Here on your screens once again, so the same exact modus operandi of singling them out. In fact, the terrorists here in Pahalgam, they singled them out, asked them to stand in separate lines, and then they started firing at them. They shot them at just point blank. Identification and targeted killing. Let's now take you to the third similarity. Use of firearms and cameras. All of this, if you realize, was being recorded. It was recorded by the Hamas terrorists so that they wanted to carry out this propaganda, that they've been able to carry out what they were calling their successful targeting of the Israelis, the Jews. They use automatic weapons and body cameras. Now let's cut to what happens on 22nd of April. On 22nd of April in Pahalgam, for the first time, you are essentially looking at terrorists who used AK-47s, M4 rifles. The important point here is the usage of helmet-mounted cameras. They had also helmet-mounted cameras, and these cameras were basically used to ensure that they spread the message. They spread the message of, and they were hoping that they would be able to instill fear, but that's not happened. Use of firearms, cameras, pretty much the same. This happened on both the occasions. The other is victims shot at point-blank range. Hamas terrorists made all the victims kneel before they were shooting. Look at this. Look at what happened. 22nd of April, this is exactly how the tourists were targeted. They were basically asked to recite the kalma. If they couldn't, they would have shot them in the head. Now, these images that you'll take a look, both, once again, the eerie similarity between 7th of October and 22nd of October, where the victims were shot at point-blank range. The final is something that raises questions about our authorities, about the government in power. The very fact that Israelis did actually make an admission that they failed. In fact, in the first image also, remember the fact that this area was different. They had infiltrated, they had got more information. The same happens in Pahalgam. In Pahalgam massacre, the biggest terror attack that has taken place in 20 years in Jammu and Kashmir was possible because there was not a single police picket. There was no surveillance that was basically being done about this very area, despite this becoming a tourist. The same goes for what happened on 7th of October when Israel too actually admitted that there was a major failure. In fact, this time too, the government has actually admitted that there has been a lapse, and that because of this, you're seeing what we witnessed on 22nd of April and on 7th of October when innocent lives were lost because we were unprepared. Now the deadliest attack in history. 7th of October attack is the deadliest since Israel's birth in 1948. And that is the reason why Israel said that they are going to wipe out Hamas. Pahalgam massacre happens to be the biggest terror attack that Jammu and Kashmir has actually seen in 20 years. One of the worst that we have seen when it comes to targeting the civilians. And that is the reason why many are now saying that it is time to do what the Israelis have actually done to Hamas. We should be doing the same to Pakistan. Wipe them out. Well, in fact, this question was actually posed to the Israeli ambassador too. Is there a similarity? This is what the Israeli ambassador had to say.
We share their determination to deal with this barbaric attack that really reminds you of what happened on the 7th of October. People just, wanting to have a vacation, attacked brutally by terrorists that have a death cult, that want to terrorize the entire population. This is completely unacceptable.
लाल रंग इसका अपार, तीखा कम है फिर भी स्वाद, बेमिसाल बेमिसाल MDH कश्मीरी,
MDH कश्मीरी।
MDH